Greetings. Today is Monday, March 14th. My name is Timothy, and in these videos we talk about the nature of the times. Now, time is nature. Nature is the natural seasons and cycles of life. Astrology is nature. Astrology is everything. Now, in the future, we will have different astrologers covering different parts of this everything. Currently, in this YouTube smorgasbord, all of us astrologers, we do our best to describe the energy dynamics of the times. However, each astrologer is going to have a different finger or a different footing in a different dimension and be speaking to different parts or dimensions of the overall collective. Now, we are in the midst of Pisces season. March 2022 began with a new moon in Pisces, and in this video, we'll be focusing on a full moon in Virgo. The zodiac seasons, this annual solar season of the 12 zodiac signs, as well as the lunar cycles, as they correlate to the progression of the zodiac, is what I particularly focus on these videos. That provides a general underlying theme and energy that we're working with at this particular time. Now, as astrologers are tracking the planets, their relationship and movement to one another, this is a reflection of the various parts of our own makeup and consciousness, our body, our mind, sexuality, spirituality, intuition, how those various parts are working and evolving together. Now, it's my joy to talk about this, but for those of you who may actually want to learn how to identify the various parts and experience of all of life itself, astrology is all life experience. The zodiac is all natural experience. If you want to learn how to identify life itself through the lens of astrology, I encourage you to join my Astro School at www.rasalilacommunity.com. I will put a link in the video description. I have over 20 hours of video material there. You can get educated for just $36 a month. Okay, now Pisces season is the season of merging, reflecting upon the all in all. Pisces, the final sign of the zodiac, is said to contain the entire zodiac within it. This is the experience of the whole. The ruler of Pisces is the planet Neptune. Yesterday, the 13th, the sun joined Neptune in Pisces. Several days from now, on the 18th, our full moon in Virgo will be opposite to Neptune in Pisces. Now, this whole month of March has this theme of Pisces. Pisces is the most mysterious, enigmatic, and we could say blurry or challenging sign because it does rule the all. Specifically, Pisces is boundarylessness. The perfect symbol for Pisces occurring on our earth is the ocean, or the various streams and rivers merging back to the ocean. I think another good Pisces example is the beach, where we may see, so many people that the people on the beach appear to be like an ocean themselves. And there's every different type of person. Everybody's got different types of music coming from their various radios. And there is an overall underlying hum or an underlying tone that is the vibration of chaos, of all, of everything. This is like the Om. So this is Pisces. And Pisces season can go so many different ways. Pisces can go so many different ways. There are astrologers that will puff Pisces up. Love and light, unicorns and fairy dust, fantasy, imagination, God, and unconditional love, which is certainly true. These phenomenon are correlated with that all in all, the boundarylessness, the inconceivable interconnection between all things. And this is what we sowed a seed for at the start of this month under the Pisces new moon, to tune into this mystical underlying flow, to discover synchronicity, to explore this deeper underlying purpose and meaning that can fill us up, that can bring us back to our heart center. And yet, Pisces is simultaneously meaninglessness, drifting, emptiness, a type of pointlessness that can lead us into a lifelessness, or feeling empty or incomplete. And chances are we're exploring all the above. What are we connected to? What is meaningful to us? What may lead us into more of an experience of meaninglessness? Now, as we begin to talk about the Virgo full moon, we're going to examine a polarity. And this polarity we look at every month in these videos. The new moon sows the intention for the forthcoming lunar cycle. The full moon illuminates a zodiac polarity where we see a contrast between opposites and between extremes. And every month we work with this polarity. Every month this polarity shifts, it evolves. And as we continue to tune into this, and this is why I am hoping more people will learn astrology as the years go on, if we can consciously tune into these shifting themes and tides of life and nature itself, we can work with these tides. And we don't just have to be thrown around, we can spiral upward through this evolutionary progression, understanding who we are, what we're working with, and why we are having the various feelings and experiences in life that we are having. That is the nature of the moon. The moon is not just what we're feeling, it is also the nature of the underlying life experience. And the moon goes through all 12 zodiac signs every month. We can bet that our life experience is changing. Life is this movement. Pisces is this movement. Pisces is the potential for everything. Yet Virgo is specific. Virgo is like the pinpoint on the map that says you are here. You're in this body. You're in this timeline. You're in this human vessel. And every single human vessel is unique. Every person's purpose for being on this planet is unique. And the polarity between Pisces and Virgo is therefore the specific role, service, and function, Virgo, that we can offer back to the whole and collective that bestows a deep sense of purpose and meaning, Pisces. We're examining this polarity. This full moon opposite to Neptune is the opportunity to explore, to dream, to seek this deeper level of meaning and purpose. And yet this purpose is going to be something that every individual discovers, every individual uncovers. It's not what we necessarily make it to be. It's not necessarily what we choose it to be. This is a common misconception because we are born into a specific nature for a specific purpose. This is what astrology is very much observing. Therefore, we cannot simply climb a skyscraper, jump off the top of the skyscraper, grow wings like a little birdie, and fly. We may have the human innovation to invent wings to fly, but we don't have fly nature that we're born into. Therefore, we don't have that ability. We have specific capabilities. So with Virgo, we are working with limitation. We are discovering how to be healthy, right? It would not be healthy for a human being to believe they are a bird. It would probably lead to some dysfunction, especially leaping from the top of a skyscraper. So Virgo is a honing in on through a trial and error reductionist process to discover that essential role, service, or work that ultimately honors the nature that we are born into. Virgo is all about health. Virgo is the nurse. Virgo is the doctor. Virgo notices what's not working when we color outside of the lines and says we would be more resourceful. We would have greater sustenance. We would have greater energy if we preserved and honored what is our true service and role. Okay. Now, the right way will be different for every individual. The burden, or rather, the mistake of Virgo is to take on somebody else's work, to take on somebody else's role or service. It could also be the burden of believing that is our job, to fix or to rescue or to heal others in this way that is not really natural. Because if we bend ourselves all out of shape to be in the form, role, work, or service that is not us, that's not the right way. And if we're trying to do a right way that might be somebody else's right way, that does not work for us, we will have an experience of inadequacy. We will have an experience of brokenness. We may feel ashamed. We may feel impure, like there's something wrong. There's something in us that's blocking, that's getting in the way of what it is that we're attempting to do. Now, there's a very beautiful astrological signature under this full moon, which creates a grand Earth trine between the full moon in Virgo, Pluto in Capricorn, and the moon's north node in Taurus. This signature is an opportunity to find what works, our true role in the world, Capricorn, that is needed, that's going to provide a service, that's going to provide a function, Virgo, that's preserving, Taurus. It's honoring our nature, our biological needs, our flow, our functioning, and therefore allowing for a preservation of energy, a preservation of resources, an accumulation of energy and resources, so that way we can offer those skills, those resources, that specific service or role back to the world. This in turn is what gives us the deepest experience of satisfaction. Now again, we're talking about Virgo-Pisces polarity. This full moon is also opposite to Neptune, and in this process there is a surrendering. Again, we don't choose, at least I don't remember choosing to be human or bird. We are surrendering to our God-given, born-in nature, okay? Our life is only fulfilling after we accept who we are. Now, in this comes the Pisces theme of forgiveness. Forgiveness is another way of saying acceptance. Acceptance of who we are. Acceptance of our past. Acceptance of who they are. Acceptance of their past. This is where there is a necessary relaxing and flexibility to allow for the chaos, the flow of life, just like these chaotic planes that seem to be circling overhead. And sensitive hearing can be such a challenge. I really have a hard time with the Virgo focus when there's this Pisces chaos going around my brain. And this is where there's a need to surrender and accept this being a state of life. It's like anyone who's ever been to India, you certainly understand how that chaos can still function, even though in and of itself it's a miracle where all of these people and smells and animals are moving this way and that way, and the cars are zigzagging around each other, and amazingly, it all seems to keep intact. Similarly, we're having to hone in specifically on what is keeping our feet on the ground, what is keeping us sane, through focusing on our specific role and service that can allow us to offer that back to the chaos of life without getting swept off of our feet. Because that can certainly be the challenge of Pisces, being like a leaf blown around in the winds of the world, blown around by society, blown around by the feelings, the crises, the challenges of other people, where we can simply dive in again and again and again, trying to rescue, save other people. We have to have the balance of Virgo, which is healthy boundaries, to preserve and honor our own center, our own 2 feet on the ground, as well as that specific service that's going to come from the discovering and the uncovering of our unique and individual nature, which will not be the same for everybody. I'm very passionate about astrology, not simply because I like to talk about things and get overly excited about things, because this is really common, this overexcitement about things when there's not really anything happening. I'm passionate about astrology because it's a useful tool, Virgo, that can really change our experience of reality. It can really make things happen by articulately identifying our God-given, born-in nature in a way that I have yet to discover any other tool or modality that can provide a similar level of usefulness. If you go to my astro school, just check out the lesson on Pluto alone. Knowing the house position of your Pluto is going to reflect back to you so much information that may take your entire life to uncover because of how deep and mysterious and unconscious these parts of our individual nature are. I hope in the future to hear people talking about their Pluto house position as opposed to simply their sun, moon, rising sign, which actually doesn't tell us hardly anything at all. There are more important parts of the chart, but astrology is very, very fresh, newly discovered, and most people aren't educated about it. But point being, I've found this to be some of my service and my offering, and it provides something that works. Real astrology is useful. The proof is in the pudding. That's Virgo. Virgo is what we can measure. The helpfulness is measurable. How it's healing is observable. The difference between a healthy body and an unhealthy body is no mystery. Similarly, we can use our own body, nervous system, these various alert systems, these various experiences of crises, being drained, being exhausted. This is the Virgo alert system that says, hey, you've got limited energy. Hey, you're going outside of yourself right now. You're bleeding through, and you might be losing a part of your center. To return to your center is to honor your unique nature, your unique body, your unique system, and what's going to work for you. Again, in this, there is a process of acceptance. In this, there is a process of forgiveness. There is a process of embracing what is. I'm talking more calmly now because the planes have moved. I apologize if my tone gets a little intense. Now, this approaching weekend, we're going to see the sun enters into Aries. So this is our spring equinox on March 20th. Sun's in Aries from March 20th to April 20th. The spring equinox, when the sun enters Aries, this is the very start of the year in the zodiac. This is when there is a breakdown turnaround. Pisces time is largely an incubation. It is a time of going into the imagination, of dreaming, of exploring, of traveling. You know, Pisces is travel. Pisces is tourism, visiting other places, opening up. Is this entire month of March, beginning with the new moon on Jupiter in Pisces, this expansion, this exploration, this philosophical opening up to possibility. And then the sun moving into Aries, this equinox point, is a time period where people initiate new projects, initiate new directions. It can also be a period of individualization, breaking from the chaos of the overall beach life, all of the people in that hum, and breaking into our own path, our own direction. This is also where there's going to be an increase of physical energy, as well as an understanding, okay, this is the direction, this is where we're initiating, this is who we are as an individual, let's not just dream it, let's do it, is Aries. Now Mars, ruler of Aries, squares Uranus on the 22nd. Venus squares Uranus a few days before on the 19th. So this coming weekend, we see Venus and Mars together in a third quarter square to Uranus, transiting Uranus' sign of Aquarius. Now, Venus and Mars have been together since the start of this year. There's a tremendous building, collaborative, how we're honoring our natural bodies energy, how we're honoring that individual that we are, and how Venus, we can exchange that with others in collaborative, supportive, harmonious, creative, free-flowing ways. So this has been a very creative signature. It says, hey, there's this creative, collaborative energy that wants to birth something, wants to create something, establish something. Now, Venus and Mars transiting Aquarius brings more attention to the network, the surrounding community, what we're interconnected with, as well as light this Aquarian divine discontent fire under our butt. Like something's got to change. We're tired of the stagnation and limitation of the past. And as Venus and Mars squares Uranus this coming weekend, 19th, 20th, we're really going to experience that divine discontent. There is a needed breakthrough or breakdown, and we can experience it either or both ways. Break through, break down due to an over limitation. So this is like we feel a straitjacket. And it's like, oh my God, I've got an itch. Oh my God, the temperature is raising and I'm starting to sweat and this is getting really uncomfortable, you know? And this restless instability is forcing us to break out. The other thing is that patterns run out of steam. We can do the same thing again and again and again until it's just trailing off into nowhere. And this brings up the question, well, what do we do next? Where do we go from here? There's a very good probability this coming weekend, 19th and 20th, with Venus, Mars in this particular place. And again, all of astrology is reflecting these cycles. So we can say, hey, in this point in time, we could very much be experiencing the simultaneous need to step into the future and not knowing what to do yet. This is called a crisis in consciousness. Something new has to happen. Change needs to happen. But where exactly to apply this or where to go or what to do may be a little bit unknown. The bottom line necessity is therefore experimentation. Trial and error. Virgo full moon is not about perfection. It's not about getting things perfect because you may have noticed this is not how life is. Life is not an ideal, perfect dream. Okay? I know there's some people out there who are walking in this dream, but we can really trip over our shoelaces when we get our heads too much in the clouds. Because nothing in life is truly complete, perfect. Everything's always changing. Everything's always evolving. That's the baseline. The baseline is movement. So we need to keep moving. We need to experiment. Something new must be initiated. Yet what is unknown? So we just need to break in a new pair of pants, break in a new pair of shoes, try on what's available, go to the all-you-can-eat buffet, see what's there, sample it out. That's going to lead us into what works. What's actually providing this helpful improvement. And again, with Virgo, the improvement is measurable. It's not just dreaming or believing it. We can see it, we can make it, we can form it, we can shape it, and we can improve it here on this earth. Now, really beautifully, Mercury is conjoining Jupiter and Neptune the same weekend, the 21st through the 23rd. And this is really beautiful because even though there is this tension's really happening through relationship, body, sexuality, fundamental energy. This Venus-Mars, again, is like this creative force. It wants to birth something, new ways of doing relationship, new ways of collaborating, new ways of sexually relating to the body. And the sexual energy force is simply the fundamental energy force. So this is like, hey, let's get this movement, let's get this energy really charged, okay? So there's this tension taking place there, like, something's blocked, something's challenging this, we got to break it into the new. And Mercury there with Jupiter, Neptune simultaneously can be very mind expanding, very open to new possibilities. This is a time where there can be downloads of inspiration, tuning into higher realms, higher beings, significant symbolic dreams, and this can give us some direction. The key here is, again, to be open to the exploration of experimentation and trial and error. So we don't need to settle for less. Again, I'm talking calmer now because the planes have left. I'm going to conclude by talking about some of the astrology that's going to be culminating, particularly at the end of the month. And we'll talk much more about this in our forthcoming new moon video in Aries, due out in about a couple weeks. Now, towards the end of this month, we're going to see a Venus-Saturn conjunction at 21 degrees Aquarius, square to the moon's nodes. To highlight this signature even more, we have asteroid Juno, the partnership asteroid, join that Venus-Saturn the same day, and the moon, exactly at 10 a.m. EST. Now, this Venus-Saturn is a need to create, establish, and commit to new structures. This may be new structures in relationship to the world, to community, to society, but specifically, this is about committing to new structures in relationship. Now, I don't mean commitment by whatever definition commitment may mean to various people in more traditional times. This is about a committing to building a structure for exchange, creating a new structure for offering what we love in our heart. This requires a listening, Venus, to our heart, to know what we value and what we want to put out there in the world, as well as an essential listening to others, to know how to build and structure these new forms in the world. This can play out through career. This can play out again through community, how we are connecting the dots between self and other. Okay, now this can really birth new collaborations, new projects. Again, this can really create a powerful, revolutionary, we're doing it different in the world. We are sharing our love in a powerful way that's building this new paradigm, that's building this new way of exchanging resources. And I mean, that is the theme of the year with the North Node transiting Taurus. Are we not looking at money, property, agriculture? That's going to be the theme of this year. Just wait till eclipses in summertime. Okay, so it's like, hey, we got to build this new structure. Now, there's a very easy tendency with these planets square to the moon's nodes to avoid this, to avoid listening to ourself, to avoid listening to the other, or to avoid doing the work. This could be just like, you know what? The world's a hard place. The boss will tell us what to do. We just follow the boss's orders. Or you know what? This authority who's leading the workshop, you know, they've done it for so many years, you know, we just kind of follow suit. It could also be, you know what? I've had so many defeats in relationship. I don't need to bother with relationship. This can be icy cold, as well as authoritative power struggles, dominance, through a lack of listening to self and other, through a lack of opening up to where we can commit, do the work, put it forward. We have to apply a conscious effort here. The world is not going to serve to us on a silver platter the new way of earning money or doing exchanges or having our feet on the world that works without our participation. It is essential that we participate in this new world building process, this new money exchanging process, this new way of doing relationship, which can ultimately be liberating. It can take us out of these old straitjacket-like patterns that we could feel very, very restless, stagnant, and stuck in at this time. So, dear friends, because this is universal patterns, the divine dance of life, we're all in this together. That's the truth of Pisces. Pisces is the zodiac. We don't have to take this one overly personally. This is the time to use the frustration, the limitation, the restlessness of these times to break in something new, to do this necessary experimentation, because we'll go crazy if we don't. So Aquarius and Uranus is like the loaded spring that eventually lifts off. And I encourage us to put on our mad scientist hat and mix and match different chemicals and see how they blow up or change color, and just take down notes. Just take down the results. We can come back to those results after we've done so many experiments, and then we can have a greater crystallization of the nature we're born into, the role and service that we can offer to the world that's going to be actually helpful, that's going to actually benefit others in real time, and that simultaneously will give us the deepest sense of meaning. It will fill us up with purpose. That purpose can charge every cell in our being, and then we can offer that joy, that spontaneity, that fullness back to the world in a way that is like a reciprocal, self-filling, it's like an endless waterfall of movement. That's the potential, that's the goal of working through this time. Again, you can join my community. I offer additional services. I have my school. I'm going to have my next Q&A this coming weekend where people bring in their birth chart, as well as what is your struggle? What is your personal experience? What are you going through right now? Every month, I rapid fire do mini chart readings to answer questions from my community by taking a direct look at the chart. So you can get that personal one-on-one through my Q&A. I'm a little bit more hard to get down for personal one-on-one readings. My wait list is a bit long, so thank you for your patience. Again, my passion in communicating and teaching astrology is this is how we can identify nature. It is not a man-made system. It does not come from any particular culture or place geographically on the world. It has been nature since the beginning of time. Therefore, we can use astrology to identify nature and embrace all that there is. This is why I'm saying for the straitjacket type of energy, we're not going to pretend that we can avoid that. That is a part of the experience of the now. And when we know astrology, we know what we're working with. It's not a mystery. And then knowing what we're working with, we can use that. So we don't avoid tension, understanding nature. We don't avoid darkness, understanding nature. We don't avoid the shadow. We don't avoid the challenges, because that's all a vital and important part of life. Astrology can help us to identify and use those parts, work with those parts. In real life, in real nature, there is always an interconnection between the joy, the challenge, the light, the dark. That's real life. We can understand this. It doesn't have to be a mystery to us. And when we all share that knowledge and understanding, we can come together in increasingly powerful, uplifting, and inspiring ways. So again, my passion to share astrology comes from a hopefulness that one day in the future, we will see these groups come together that have this shared understanding of life. And there is no dispute, there is no understanding, because it's so clear. What you see is what you get through the language of nature, the language of God, which is not there to believe in. It's there to see and to prove to ourselves. So I'm excited to continue to show up. I would love to hear from you in the comments below. What is your own experience, if it does reflect any of what we just talked about today? That's one of the ways that we can co-create this excitement of astrology, through sharing these individual experiences, Virgo, that's connected to an overall collective experience, because we are simultaneously individuals and we also have a foot in the species, the collective, and the all in all. We can really tune into all of that and fill ourselves up with all of that. I look forward to continuing to share and connect. Wishing you all the best. Take care.